cluster of dwellings of any type or size where human beings live is known as human settlement. For this purpose, people may construct houses and other structures and command some area or territory as their economic support base. Thus, the process of settlement inherently involves grouping of people and apportioning of territory as their resource base. Settlements may vary in size and type. We will study types of rural settlement, urban settlements, urbanization in India, and classification of towns on the basis of population size. Human settlements. Human settlements range from a small village to metropolitan cities. The economic character and social structure of settlements changes with size, and so do its ecology and technology. Settlements could be large and closely spaced. They may also be small and sparsely spaced. The sparsely located small settlements are called villages, specializing in agriculture or other primary activities. On the other hand, there are fewer but larger settlements which are known as urban settlements, specializing in secondary and tertiary activities. Differences between rural and urban settlements. The main differences between rural and urban settlements are as follows. The rural settlements acquire their life support or basic economic needs from land-based primary economic activities, whereas urban settlements depend on processing of raw materials and manufacturing of finished goods and a variety of services. Cities act as nodes of economic growth, provide goods and services to urban dwellers as well as to the people of the rural settlements in their hinterlands in return for food and raw materials. Transport and communication network helps in strengthening this functional relationship between the urban and rural settlements. Rural and urban settlements vary in terms of social relationship, attitude and outlook. Rural people are less mobile, thus are intimate in their social relations. Lifestyle is complex and fast, and social relations are formal in urban areas. Types of rural settlement. The extent of the built-up area and inter-house distance helps to determine the types of the settlement. In India, particularly in the northern plains, compact and clustered village of a few hundred houses is a universal feature. Although there are several areas which have other forms of rural settlements, there are distinct factors and conditions responsible for having different types of rural settlements in India. These include physical features, climate, nature of terrain, altitude and availability of water, cultural and ethnic features, caste and religion, social structure, security features, defense against thefts and robberies. In India, rural settlements can broadly be put into four types: clustered, agglomerated or nucleated, semi-clustered or fragmented, hamleted and dispersed or isolated. Clustered settlements. Compact or closely built-up area of houses makes a clustered rural settlement. In this type of village, the general living area is different and separated from the encircling farms, barns and pastures. The closely built-up area and its intervening streets present some significant pattern or geometric shape such as linear, rectangular, radial, etc. Such settlements are usually found in fertile alluvial plains and in the northeastern states. At times, people live in compact village for security or defense reasons, such as in Nagaland and in the Bundelkhand region of central India. In Rajasthan, scarcity of water has necessitated compact settlement for maximum usage of available water resources. Semi-clustered settlements. Tendency of clustering in a restricted area of dispersed settlement may result in semi-clustered or fragmented settlements. Segregation or fragmentation of a large compact village may also result in such a pattern. In this case, one or more section of the village society choose or is forced to live a little away from the main cluster or village. Mostly in such cases, the central part of the main village is occupied by the land-owning and dominant community, whereas people of lower strata of society and menial workers settle on the outer flanks of the village. Such settlements are extensively found in the Gujarat plain and some parts of Rajasthan. Hamleted settlements. Sometimes settlement is disintegrated into several units physically separated from each other bearing a common name. These units are locally called Para, Panna, Nagla, Palli, Dhani, etc. in different parts of the country. This segmentation of a large village is generally motivated by social and ethnic factors. Such villages are more frequently found in the lower valleys of the Himalayas, middle and lower Ganga plain and Chhattisgarh. Dispersed settlements. Dispersed or isolated settlement pattern in India emerge in the form of isolated huts or hamlets of few huts in remote jungles or on small hills with farms and pasture on the slopes. Extreme dispersion of settlement is usually formed by extremely fragmented nature of the terrain and land resource base of habitable areas. Many areas of Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Meghalaya and Kerala have this type of settlement. Urban settlements. Unlike rural settlements, urban settlements are generally larger and compact in size. They are involved in a variety of non-agricultural, economic and administrative functions. Cities are functionally linked to rural areas around them. Hence, exchange of services and goods is performed sometimes directly and sometimes through a series of market towns and cities. Therefore, cities are connected directly as well as indirectly with the villages. Evolution of towns in India. Towns flourished since prehistoric times in India. Towns like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were in existence even at the time of Indus Valley civilization. The following period has witnessed evolution of towns. Until the arrival of Europeans in India in the 18th century, it continued with periodic ups and downs. Based on the basis of their evolution in different periods, Indian towns may be classified as ancient towns, medieval towns, and modern towns. Ancient towns. In India, there are a number of towns having historical background spanning over 2,000 years. Most of them developed as religious and cultural centers. One of the important towns among these is Varanasi. Patliputra or Patna, Prayag or Allahabad, and Madurai are some of other examples of ancient towns in the country. Medieval towns. There are hundreds of existing towns evolved out of the medieval period. Most of them developed as headquarters of principalities and kingdoms. These are fort towns which came upon the ruins of ancient towns. Important among them are Delhi, Lucknow, Jaipur, Agra, Hyderabad and Nagpur. Modern towns. A number of towns were developed in India by the British and other Europeans. Starting their foothold on coastal locations, they first developed some trading ports such as Surat, Daman, Goa, Pondicherry, etc. The British later strengthened their hold around three principal nodes: Mumbai or Bombay, Chennai or Madras, and Kolkata or Calcutta, and built them in the British style, rapidly extending their domination either directly or through control over the princely states. They established their administrative centers, hill towns as summer resorts, and added new administrative, civil and military areas to them. After 1850, towns based on modern industries were evolved. For example, Jamshedpur. A large number of towns have been developed as administrative headquarters after independence. For example, Chandigarh, Gandhinagar, Bhubaneswar, Dispur, etc., and industrial centers such as Durgapur, Bhilai, Barauni, Sindri. Some satellite towns were developed out of old towns around metropolitan cities such as Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, Rohtak around Delhi. A large number of medium and small towns have developed all over the country with increasing investment in rural areas. Urbanization in India. The level of urbanization is measured in terms of percentage of urban population to total population. In 2001, the level of urbanization in India was 28%, which is quite low in comparison to developed countries. During 20th century, total urban population has increased 11-fold. Enlargement of urban centers and emergence of new towns have played a significant role in the growth of urbanization and urban population in the country. The growth rate of urbanization has slowed down during last 2 decades. Classification of towns on the basis of population size. Census of India categorized urban centers into 6 classes as presented in table. Urban center with population of more than 1 lakh is called a city or class 1 town. Cities accommodating population size between 1 to 5 million are called metropolitan cities, and more than 5 million are mega cities. Majority of mega and metropolitan cities are urban agglomerations. An urban agglomeration may consist of any of the following 3 combinations: a town and its adjacent urban outgrowths, 2 or more adjoining towns with or without their outgrowths, and a city and 1 or more contiguous towns with their outgrowths together forming a contiguous spread. Examples of urban outgrowth are military cantonment, railway colonies, university campus, port area, etc., located within the revenue limits of a village or villages contiguous to the town or city. Classification of towns. More than 60% of urban population in India lives in class 1 towns, as is evident from table 4.2. 35 cities or urban agglomerations are metropolitan cities out of 423 cities. Mega cities with population over 5 million each are 6 in number. More than 1/5 or 21% of urban population lives in these mega cities. With 16.4 million people, Greater Mumbai is the largest agglomeration among them. Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad and Bangalore are other mega cities in the country. Functional classification of towns. Many towns and cities perform specialized services apart from their role as central or nodal places. Some cities and towns specialize in certain functions and they are known for some specific products, activities or services. However, each town accomplishes a number of functions. On the basis of dominant or specialized functions, Indian cities and towns can be broadly classified as follows: administrative towns and cities, industrial towns, transport cities, commercial towns, mining towns, garrison cantonment towns, educational towns, religious and cultural towns, and tourist towns. Administrative towns and cities. Administrative towns are the towns supporting administrative headquarters of higher order, such as Chandigarh, New Delhi, Jaipur, Bhopal, Srinagar, Shillong, Guwahati, Imphal, Gandhinagar and Chennai, etc. Industrial towns. Industries comprise prime motive force of these cities such as Mumbai, Modinagar, Salem, Jamshedpur, Coimbatore, Bhilai and Hooghly, etc. Transport cities. They may be ports essentially engaged in export and import activities such as Vishakhapatnam, Kanla, Kochi, Kozhikode, etc., or hubs of inland transport such as Agra, Itarasi, Dhulia, Mughal Sarai, Katni, etc. Commercial towns. Cities and towns specializing in trade and commerce are kept in this class. Kolkata, Satna and Saharanpur, etc. are some examples. Mining towns. These towns have developed in mineral-rich areas such as Ankaleshwar, Raniganj, Jharia, Singrauli and Digboi, etc. Garrison cantonment towns. These towns emerged as garrison towns such as Jalandhar, Ambala, Amhau, Udhampur and Babina, etc. Educational towns. Started as centers of education, some of the towns have grown into major campus towns such as Aligarh, Varanasi, Roorkee, Pilani, Allahabad, etc. Religious and cultural towns. Haridwar, Varanasi, Mathura, Ajmer, Pushkar, Amritsar, Madurai, Puri, Tirupati, Kurukshetra, Ujjain came to prominence due to their religious or cultural significance. Tourist towns. Shimla, Nainital, Mussoorie, Pachmari, Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, Udgamandalam or Uti and Mount Abu are some of the tourist destinations. The cities are not static in their function. Due to their dynamic nature, the functions change. Even specialized cities, as they grow into metropolises, become multifunctional, wherein business, administration, industry, transport, etc. become important.